Well, good morning, YouTube. I'm now in the Alabama hills in eastern California, and I'm going to photograph the rock formations here. This whole area is covered with really fantastical and eroded rock formations, and there's lots of arches and big eroded boulders and things like that around here. So I'm going to go out and photograph Mobius Arch, which is one of the classic arches photographed around here at sunrise, which is about an hour away. And the sky has just cleared after a good winter storm, and so I'm hoping that we'll have a great sunrise with some interesting clouds maybe. It's still in the process of clearing, and I think the mountains, the Sierra Mountains, will also have some new snow in them, so it could be a pretty fantastic landscape opportunity. So there's Mobius Arch in the dark, and just now need to wait for the sun to come up. I see other photographers pouring in on the road right now, so I won't be alone, I don't think. But anyway, it's a pretty cool arch. It's about 15 by 15 feet. The hole in the middle is about 8 by 8 feet, so pretty neat. And sure enough, two other photographers showed up and sat up next to me. As we chatted, the sun slowly made its appearance, first lighting up the Sierra Mountains and then eventually the arch itself. While the Sierra Mountains were covered with fresh snow, a lingering narrow band of clouds blocked the view of the major peaks. Here's an overview of Mobius Arch to give you a sense of its layout, with another photographer operating his drone nearby. It is accessible from all sides, and I haven't found these shots from the back side of the arch. So what's so incredible about this place is the sheer number of possibilities there are for photography. All these rocks, they're everywhere, over just a few square miles. There's so many different rocks you can use as foreground elements to line up with background elements like various portions of the Sierra Mountain range here. So for example, I see Mount Whitney right there, very distinctive, and there's this foreground ridge coming into view in the foreground here. And I'm looking for, and I'm seeing there's like two towers on that foreground ridge which are now coming into alignment with Mount Whitney. And so maybe I can use those two towers on the ridge as a way to sort of frame one side of Mount Whitney. There's just so many possibilities here. Now let's get out and take a closer look at this possibility here. So here I'm looking at alignment of these towers on the rocky ridgeline and how they might frame Mount Whitney. Let's see what we can do with the alignment of these. I'm using an old slide frame as a quick composition aid, looking for compositions within the greater view. I'm liking these foreground rocks in the immediate foreground. Let's see what we can do with these. Yeah, I really like the texture and color of these foreground rocks and how these cracks form a leading line into the background. Something in here should work, so now we'll set up my camera. Yeah, the only downside I see about the area is that the skies are usually pretty clear. It means there's really only a couple of hours a day, or in the morning and in the evening, where there's a decent light for photography. It leaves the whole day to be scouting. I've already got so many ideas on what to photograph that I could spend a month of sunrises and sunsets photographing them around here. But the clear skies also offer the opportunity for nighttime photography, which I'll be doing more of here as well. I did go back to Mobius Arch that evening, but it was far too windy to vlog. Here's the image I captured with the arch and Sierra Mountains illuminated by the full moon, plus a little light painting with my headlamp. And so I spent the next couple days scouting for photo compositions and tried to capture them during sunrises and sunsets. I found the sunrises much more productive than the sunsets because the Sierra Mountains to the west made for such a more dramatic sunrise background, whereas the Inyo Mountains to the east were just too far away to compose with sunset. There's great dispersed camping in Alabama Hills, with some sites having fantastic views. This is the view from behind my campsite, which I think frames up Lone Peak with some nice boulders. Oh, good morning. It's my last morning here at Alabama Hills. And I scouted out this location yesterday. It's got a great view of Lone Pine Peak and Mount Whitney. And some good foreground rocks for framing the scene. And these rocks will be exposed to the sunrise. And the sky is clear, so we should have a good sunrise. About 15 minutes away. So I think this is really the secret to Alabama Hills. If you want to look for unique images beyond, the classic arches, is to just, spend the day driving around and getting out of your vehicle and walking around in the rocks and looking for those foregrounds that you can pair up with the background. So I spent a couple of days of that here and have really enjoyed it. It's been a great time. Amazing geology, just a really fun experience, and with the recent snow in the Sierras, that adds a whole other element to things. So anyway, I better get set up for this shot. And here's how the image came out. I'm really happy with this image for its obvious dramatic colors and lighting. We have the cold blue and the warm orange complementary colors. I love the ridge lines coming down from Lone Peak, which draw your eye back down into the frame. We have texture in the rocks, we have obvious foreground, middle ground, and background, which provide depth to the composition. Here is a vertical composition, here featuring Mount Whitney in the background, with big boulders in the foreground. Thanks again for joining me on this episode of Landscape Photography in the American Southwest. Look forward to the next episode, which will be in Death Valley, coming out in the next couple of days. Maybe hit that bell so you don't miss it.